welcome to another edition of the Bruce and Bob Show. Bob Mueller with News 2. Bruce Dobie, national media entrepreneur, coming to you from Jimmy Kelly's Steakhouse in downtown Nashville, sponsored by Joe Hall Incorporated. We appreciate very much Joe Hall's sponsorship of us. We've been legitimized. Nashville Mayor Megan Barry has chosen to be our guest. She's a fan. She actually watches our little podcast.
I do.
We're excited to have you with us.
Well, I want to know why it's the Bruce and Bob show, not the Bob and Bruce show.
Well, that was we leg wrestled.
Okay.
He's taller.
All right. Okay. Really? Well, you know, sometimes that's just how it is.
We're really looking forward to talking to you
Thanks.
about your experience as mayor. I know you've loved it. This time last year, you were in the heat of a midst of a campaign, so
I know,
it's
it's
probably
hard to believe.
a little different now.
It is.
And so, briefly, let's talk about where things are. Things are moving so nicely. Congratulations on the 4th of July. We were down there broadcasting live. So proud to be a partnership with the Visitors Conventions Bureau and with Nashville and with the city. Terrific event. Sheryl Crow nailed it.
She did.
All the folks had a great time. Despite a little bit of rain, it was a great event.
I thought it was amazing. In fact, one of my friends who I was with said that she'd seen Sheryl Crow a couple years ago and she was wearing those same pants. And I got to tell you, I think she said she'd seen him in 1998. I said, well, listen, if I could still wear the pants from 1998, I'd still be rocking them too. So, no, she did an amazing job. It was great.
We'll talk to you about some metro issues. We're going to talk about some national issues first. Senator
Sure.
Bob Corker, on the short list to become Donald Trump's vice president for a while. It looked like this was the ticket.
Yeah.
Your thoughts on what went down? He vetted himself, met twice with Trump, offered foreign policy, introduced Trump before a rally, and then said, sorry, I don't want it.
Yeah, I know you have some strong opinions on this. Bob Corker, top 100 most powerful people in the world. A very inquisitive guy, a curious guy. When he wanted answers to the auto bailout, he flew to New York and met with investment bankers. When he jumped into Dodd-Frank, he did the same thing. He always goes to the source to ask the questions and to see what's going on. I think a lot of this was driven by Bob's curiosity and Bob's desire to find out, what the heck is going on with this Donald Trump guy. Is he for real? Is he not? Whatever. So he went there, put his name out there, took his name out. Rightfully so, and here we have potentially Newt Gingrich as a number 2.
I think he played Donald Trump perfectly.
Okay, elaborate on that. What do you mean by that?
No, he's been played. I think Bob Corker is tired and frustrated in the U.S. Senate at getting nothing done. He's a guy who gets stuff done. Whether you agree or disagree with his politics, nothing gets done in the Senate. I think he's really frustrated with that. I think he sees Donald Trump as something that people are attracted to. He also has talked about his idiosyncrasies, his comments, his insulting of folks. He's never endorsed him, never said he would support him. But he reached out and offered foreign policy when Trump was leading the way. Smart move. He's a foreign policy expert. Why not be looking out for the country and give true foreign policy expert advice to someone who has no foreign policy advice?
Right.
He backs off again when Trump wins the nomination. Still does not say, I still got issues here. We're going to wait and see what happens. But meets with Trump's people, submits his vetting material, says nice things in public as he introduces him without going overboard, does not badmouth Donald Trump, gets on the right side of Donald Trump, and then pulls himself completely away. Why? He does not want to be on this Titanic campaign that hits the iceberg and goes down. If Trump wins, he's in line for Secretary of State or Treasurer. If Trump loses, Bob Corker is the first name you see in 2020 going against Hillary Clinton. That's my view of what took place.
Frankly, I think you're right. I think you're dead on. And I think Tom Ingram was probably talking to Corker throughout this thing.
I sent him a note and said you should teach this course.
That's good.
All right, we can't ignore the mayor.
No, you're not. Go ahead.
We want to talk, so many great things going on. Let's talk about probably the biggest event that has taken place with the hiring of Shawn Joseph and what's going on with Metro schools. Talk about the man. First off, a little bit of enigma, a little quiet so far. We're getting to know him. He's doing his learning and listening tour now. During the process of the interviews, he was probably the quietest of the bunch. Seems very smart, seems very excited to be here. And while this is not a reason to hire someone, I know there's a lot of people in Nashville who are excited to have a minority leader and a majority school system.
I agree. I mean, I think the most exciting thing about Shawn Joseph is he's the most qualified candidate. And the fact that the school board voted unanimously to bring him in, I think also was a huge benefit for our community. He's actually now out there. He's done all these listening tours that he's been doing. I've spent some great time with him. I'm very excited about him, and I think he's going to do some great things for Nashville.
So in speaking with him, what have you gleaned from where he wants to take the system?
Well, I mean, he definitely believes that we need literacy, a literacy focus. And so we had a press conference the other day at the library where he wants every kid to be reading. Absolutely, he showed some statistics of where our kids are, reading levels at 3rd grade, 6th grade, 8th grade, and we're woefully behind. So, one of his initiatives is absolutely a focus on reading.
And it's so important because, as you well know, and we've had these issues where if kids can't read, sometimes they get passed on, and sometimes
That's
kids
right.
are graduating from high school and literally can't read or write the way they should be able to at that level.
Right.
So if you catch it early, like he's emphasizing, it can make a huge difference in the graduation rate and in success rate once these kids get into business for themselves.
Well, absolutely. I mean, I'd come that morning before the press conference to welcome the new class of recruits for our Metro police officers. And we had 82 new recruits, a fourth of whom were women, which I'm very excited about. And, if you can't read, you can't be a police officer. So, I mean, we need people who can read who are going to be able to fill these jobs for us.
I kind of want to rewind the dialogue here about
Sure.
his hiring. The decision was made at some point, hey, we got to get a director. And we
Well,
gotta get-
that was when Jesse decided to retire.
Yes. Well,
Yeah, we needed to get a
True, but there could have been a different direction that you could have gone about
Sure.
it. Instead, what we decided to do was to launch a wholesale public relations offensive at this and go out and get a good director. The downside of that would have been that nobody would have gone for that because the board was so split. So, and it was divided. So this was a monumental challenge.
Oh, I agree.
Correct. So give me a little bit of the inside, like as you guys were arguing the pros and the cons of how to go about this. I mean,
Sure.
you went for it, you gambled and you won,
Right.
but you could have gotten somebody really bad or somebody who said yes, then no.
And one codicil too, they waited till the election before the new mayor was chosen to at least have input, was how important was that?
Yeah, so tell me a little bit about the strategy.
Well, and I think you want to rewind a little bit further
Okay.
where we did actually go through a hiring process where we
Right.
did not have a success.
Right.
So that did not need to happen again. The first day that I was mayor, I sat down with the school board at their annual retreat, and this was our conversation. What are we going to do together to get in the talent that we need? And the emphasis was on making sure that we could do this as a collective, that we were going to be on the same page as we went forward. We engaged with Shannon Hunt and the Nashville Public Alliance, Public Education Alliance, and that was critical. And we also decided to bring in a recruiter that was going to be a recruiter, not we're just going to throw some resumes over a transom and see what sticks. Actually going out after the talent that we needed. And I think that was the game changer.
Yeah, clearly worked.
Looking at the school system, this is such a diverse school system, which is such a positive, and
It
it
is.
also increases the challenges. Diversity is regarding to backgrounds, ethnics, languages, all positives, all pluses, but also all real challenges in individual school districts. How do you wrestle that and bind that together to make that a real positive so that all these kids get the same opportunities? Because it is very difficult.
Well, I think, I talked a minute ago about literacy. I think the other focus that Dr. Joseph has is on ELL, our English language learners. What we want to see is we want those children to be English proficient, but we want them to keep their language. I mean, what a great gift for Nashville to have all these multi-languages. I mean, since I've been in office, I've had 9 either ambassadors or consul generals from around the world here to Nashville to talk about how we grow our economy together.
Yeah.
I think that's pretty powerful.
Yeah. As you look at I want to ask kind of a 30,000-foot
Sure.
question. You take office, the treasury's full. I mean, you get
We
some
are
real.
here at a good point in time. Yes.
You in particular at a great point in time. You're the CEO of an organization that's showing a lot of revenue coming in.
Yep.
Could have been a shortfall. What keeps you up at night, though? I mean, you gave Metro workers a 3% raise. You gave the schools $40 million. You're making some investments in infrastructure. What are the problems? What do you see that we don't see that could be really problematic for the future of this city?
Well, first, let me just say it is a great time to be the mayor of Nashville. I just was at the U.S. Conference of Mayors with a whole bunch of other mayors who do not have the same benefits that I've got, which is revenue, which is a growing city. We don't have people who are leaving our city. I mean, there was a whole section on at one of the conferences on what do you do with abandoned and decaying buildings. And I was like, I don't think I need to go to that one.
You flip them.
And make a lot of money.
Exactly. So, I mean, Nashville is at a really, I think, special time. But I also want to just mention that part of that surplus that we saw this year we did stick into a rainy day fund as well. You know, we fund it. We're being mindful that things ebb and flow. And I think, you know, you asked what are the things that keep me up at night? Well, it's all the stuff that is infrastructure related. It's transportation, it's affordable housing, it's how do we maintain our continued economic prosperity, but also make sure everybody gets a piece of it.
Yeah.
You have to look back too and realize there's been some really smart decisions made by previous mayors. I've been here a long time and remember when Broadway was soup kitchens and adult bookstores. That's a long time ago. But the transformation over a 30-year period is truly remarkable, and it's because of decisions by Mayor Bredesen, by Mayor Fulton, some other folks. If the arena had not been built in the 1990s, nothing would have happened on Broadway. If the first convention center had not been built, the arena would not have been built. So these were forward. If Carl Dean had not chosen to build the Music City Center during a recession, what's going on downtown right now would not be happening. How do you keep that going to the point where we still control it? Because here, we'll get to this in a moment. Here's the downside. I've been here long enough. It now takes longer to get anywhere, period. You have to build in 10 to 15 more minutes because of the traffic, because of more people, because of the excitement downtown. People are living downtown.
Right.
There's the challenge. You want to keep it going, but you also want to continue it to be livable, to be safe, and affordable.
Right. I mean, I think all those things. And so when you talk about, well, how do you keep that going? Well, you have to focus individually on each one of those pieces. So, you know, we are having a huge conversation right now about affordable housing. What does that look like? Do we have to mandate affordable housing?
It's a tough call.
Do we incent it? You know, different places do it in different ways, and obviously the state has something to say oftentimes about local control. So how do you get and achieve the ultimate goal that you want based on the tools you've got? And we're about trying to create tools.
Hey, so you've been in office 9 months.
Yes.
A personal question. How has your life changed on a, what is that day-to-day
Those security guys are with you all the time.
thing?
Yeah.
And what has that been like? And tell me what your day's like compared to what it used to be.
Actually, my days are
It's doable?
They're full for
They're
sure.
long.
They're long. But that's just because there's a lot going on. But I carve out little pieces of time to.
You got to be a morning person to be a mayor. You guys.
Well, I am now.
You got some early events.
Yeah. Well, you know, I get up early in the morning. I take my dogs for a walk every morning, and that's a great way to start the day. Strap my music on and just walk around. People will not talk to you if you have headphones on.
I mean, people seem to. Your approval rating, I would hazard a guess, is very high right now. I mean, people seem to think that you have adjusted and flowed into the role pretty seamlessly, and which is part of the reason why I asked the question. I mean, so it seems as if you've accommodated that lifestyle quite well.
Yeah, I think having served on the Metro Council has really helped, because although I knew probably 40% of what I thought needed to know, there's a whole lot more I needed to know. That made a huge difference. I can't imagine walking into that and having no context.
A couple of important issues. You have to rebuild a jail. This is expensive. This is really a mess. It's good because you got to move everybody out. The people down in Antioch don't want them down there. They're going to be there for 3 to 4 years while the current building is basically torn down and rebuilt.
Correct.
Getting a new police headquarters.
Yep.
North Nashville didn't want it. Murfreesboro Road, where I work,
they
can't wait to have it.
Which we're
it's
very excited
already
about.
improved the area, and you have a broken ground.
Yep.
The first new residential units are being built on that area, probably since the J.C. Napier homes were built. So a real plus there. Talk about those two really big issues that are not fun expenses, but have to happen.
Well, so let's talk about the Family Justice Center and the new police headquarters. On Murfreesboro Road, perfect place for that. It's on a transit line. It's going to revitalize that area, and it already is, to your point. And so I think that's a great investment. And one of the things with the downtown CJC, which is where the current jail is, right? But it's more than just a jail. The jail is a big component of it, but that is a failing building. So we have to knock it down, start over, and build a facility that meets what we need. So there is going to be a little bit of pain. We've tried to accommodate some of the concerns out in Antioch. We're keeping the soccer fields. Mm-hmm. There are folks that are out there now that are incarcerated. So this has been a jail site for a while. But granted, we want to work with the neighbors, make sure they feel safe, and I think we've been able to do that.
The Chamber's report on transit calls for big and bold
Yeah, getting rid of Radnor Yards. I'd call that big and bold.
That's pretty big.
Or where are you in big and bold?
I'm in.
You're in.
I'm in.
Okay.
It has to be a game changer. When you talk about the things in the past that have fundamentally changed the direction of Nashville, this is one of those.
I know you've looked at Denver and the
Yes.
light rail there, and
Yep.
a lot of people have been there looking at that system and really like what happens. Is that a possibility? Is that a realistic
It
possibility?
is. I mean, I think, the conversation, although in the chamber report it was number 29, which was where do you go find the funding?
Yeah.
That's actually number one. And number one is we have to create the funding mechanism that is going to pay for a very significant transportation system.
800 million doesn't scare you. 2 billion. Or
I
whatever
think
it takes
it's
is
more
kinda
like 7
7 billion.
with a B. But now remember, that's not all
Over
on
30
day
years.
one,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
it's,
yeah.
so I mean the line from in Denver from the airport to downtown is $1 billion, and that's how much that's costing them.
Okay.
Talk
So-
about, too, the connection. You can't just be mass transit for Nashville. You want to be connected to Murfreesboro
Oh,
and Clarksville and Lebanon, and maybe not all at once, but that has to be part of the plan.
Well, absolutely. I mean, if you look at where our traffic congestion is coming from, it's from the commuters who are coming in from the other counties, which is great. We want them to continue to flow into Nashville. We just need to make it better and more efficient for them to get in and out. And that means talking about this as a region, which we already are. I mean, the mayors in all these other counties and I meet on a regular basis.
Is that the biggest challenge facing you and maybe the next mayor, maybe the next two mayors is mass transit?
Google, Lyft, Uber. Describe to us their potential involvement and how this shakes up public-private partnership-wise.
So we actually put in the budget $500,000 for a partnership with Lyft, Uber, and Google and taxis to explore that first mile, last mile piece where, if we can get you to a bus stop now, maybe you would start using that. And so I think the potential is great. This whole idea of smart cities, autonomous cars, Tesla, I mean, this is all coming. And so we also want to make sure that we are building the infrastructure of the future, not the past.
Back to the jail quickly. The only kind of tempest in a teapot so far has been Darren Hall.
I wouldn't say so.
You would not say so. How would
no.
you characterize? You guys get along?
Yeah.
Okay.
We had lunch a couple weeks ago.
Issues
And-
will be resolved, the jail?
Yeah, I mean, issues are resolved. I mean, Sheriff Hall has a job to do, and he's very committed to doing that job, and I applaud him for that. And I want to make sure that he's got a facility that he can do his job in.
Finally, maybe people will disagree with this. Nashville, in my opinion, when I came here, was not a young person's town. It's become a young person's town, an entrepreneurial town. Folks want to live downtown.
Yep.
What's the best part about what's happening in Nashville right now with the growth that's taking place, the diverse growth that's taking place, new restaurants, new businesses, while you oversee what's taking place?
Well, I mean, I think you just captured it. The best part about Nashville that's happening right now is just that we are continue to be a warm and welcoming place, and people want to be here. So whether you're old or young, or whether you're an immigrant or an old Nashvilleian, this is a really exciting place to be.
Any worries at all about gentrification, where people can't afford to live here? Is
course.
that problem going to be
that's-
rearing its ugly head?
I think it already is. And right now, you've got your rental rates across Davidson County, everything's full. So we're going to have new stuff come online, but until that comes online, we have to figure out the stopgap.
A great time to be in Nashville.
It is.
Mayor Megan Barry, appreciate it so much.
It's my pleasure. Thanks.
Validating the Bruce and Bob Show. We got to have you back again to have this
Please
conversation.
do. I would love it.
That'll do it for another edition of the Bruce and Bob Show. Bruce Dobie, Mayor Megan Barry, and Bob Mueller coming to you from Jimmy Kelly's Steakhouse, brought to you by Joe Hall Strategies. We appreciate your viewing. We appreciate the mayor giving us some time. We'll see you back here next time.